Welcome to Infidelity Mom, where pain births power and broken pieces are rebuilt into purpose. Subscribe, stay close, and step into your next chapter.
Once upon a time in a quiet town in America, there lived a woman named Mary. Mary had a big heart, a sweet smile, and a husband named Jack who she loved very much. They had a small blue house with white flowers in front. Mary's younger sister, Lucy, often came to visit. Lucy was fun, always laughing, and Mary trusted her with everything. One rainy afternoon, Mary baked Jack's favorite cookies and wanted to surprise him at his office. She wore a yellow raincoat and took the bus. When she opened the office door, she saw something that made her heart freeze. Jack was not alone. Lucy was sitting on his lap, and they were laughing in a way only married people should. Mary stood quietly behind the door. She didn't cry, she didn't scream. She just watched them, like watching a scary movie with no sound. Then she walked out slowly, her hands shaking, her heart breaking. But Mary was not weak. She had something stronger than anger. She had a plan. The next day, Mary acted normal. She smiled at Jack, hugged Lucy, and said nothing. But inside, her mind was spinning like a storm. She began writing in a small red book, hiding it under her bed. She started watching their moves, listening to their lies, and writing everything down. Mary made a secret friend, a woman named Eliza who worked in a big hotel and knew how to uncover secrets. Together, they made a clever plan. A plan to make Jack and Lucy feel what Mary felt. A plan full of truth and shadows. One evening, Mary invited Jack and Lucy for dinner. The table was set with candles. The food smelled good. They laughed and ate. But under each plate was a little letter. The letters had one word, liar. And that was just the beginning. Jack and Lucy froze. Their forks stopped moving. The room became so quiet, even the ticking clock sounded like thunder. Mary smiled softly and said, "Dessert, anyone?" Lucy's hands trembled. Jack tried to laugh, but it sounded fake. "Is this some kind of joke, Mary?" he asked. Mary stood up slowly, her eyes sharp like glass. "The joke," she said, "is thinking I didn't know." She walked over to the window and pulled the curtains open. Outside, Eliza stood holding a camera. She nodded once and disappeared into the dark like a whisper. "I know about the hotel," Mary said. "Room 207. Every Tuesday. Every lie." Lucy covered her mouth. Jack stood up too fast, knocking over his glass of water. The water spilled across the table like a secret that couldn't be hidden anymore. "I gave you my heart," Mary whispered, voice shaking. "You gave it to her like it was nothing." Jack tried to speak. "It was a mistake, every week?" Mary snapped. "You made the same mistake every week?" Tears fell from her eyes, but they were not weak tears. They were strong, brave, fire wrapped in water. Mary turned and left the room. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just walked away, letting her silence speak louder than thunder. Later that night, Mary sent the photos Eliza had taken to Jack's boss, to Lucy's friends, and to their church. She didn't want revenge. She wanted truth to come into the light. By morning, Jack had lost his job. Lucy's phone was full of unread messages and voicemails. "Mary?" She sat in her garden, drinking tea, writing in her red book. But her plan was not finished. Because what Jack and Lucy didn't know was that Mary had something else. Something powerful. Something they would never forget. The sun rose slowly over the little town. Jack woke up on the couch. His phone kept buzzing. Messages. Missed calls. Emails. His face was pale, his eyes heavy. He had no job now. No friends. No peace. Lucy stayed in her apartment, afraid to go outside. Her friends stopped talking to her. Even their mother said, "You betrayed your own sister. Don't come near me." Meanwhile, Mary was calm. She wasn't angry anymore. She was focused. She visited a lawyer and showed him the red book. Every lie, every date, every secret. She had proof of everything. Jack thought he would leave Mary and marry Lucy. But now, Lucy didn't want him anymore. She cried every day, blaming him for the mess. Mary had also planted a tiny recorder in Jack's coat pocket the week before. He didn't notice. It had captured his voice saying, "She's so stupid, she'll never find out." Mary played that recording during a dinner with Jack's parents. They looked at him with disgust. His mother whispered, "You are not the son I raised." Jack's whole world started falling apart. But still, Mary didn't stop. She opened a small business selling homemade cookies, the same ones she used to make for Jack. But these cookies had a message inside. A paper hidden in each one, saying things like, "You are stronger than betrayal. Pain is a teacher. Loyalty is a gift, not a game." People loved the cookies. They lined up to buy them. Mary became a little famous. Her story spread, not as a victim, but as a woman who turned heartbreak into power. But Mary still had one final letter to write. One that she would leave on Jack's car window. The letter had only 5 words: "The storm is not over," because deep inside her heart, she had one more truth to reveal, one secret they didn't know she knew, one twist that would change everything. Jack found the letter on his windshield, just 5 words: "The storm is not over." He looked around, nervous. The wind felt colder than usual. The sky was cloudy. His hands shook. For the first time, Jack was afraid of Mary. Meanwhile, Lucy sat alone in her dark apartment. Her phone screen lit up with nasty comments. Homewrecker, they called her. Snake in the grass. But the worst pain wasn't from strangers. It was the silence from Mary. The sister she once shared dolls, secrets, and dreams with, now looked at her like a stranger. Lucy tried calling. Mary never picked up. But that day, Lucy got an envelope under her door. No stamp, no return address. Just her name, written in Mary's neat handwriting. Inside was a single photo. It was from 5 years ago, Mary's wedding day. Lucy was smiling, holding Mary's veil. But on the back of the photo, Mary had written, "I saw the way you looked at him that day." Lucy dropped the photo. She realized Mary had known for years, and had said nothing. Why? Because Mary had been watching, planning, waiting. That night, Mary opened her red book again and turned to the last page. She wrote something new: "They took my love. I took their comfort. Now I will take their peace." Mary had found something else, something huge. While cleaning Jack's old office drawer, she had found a locked folder. Eliza helped her open it. Inside were hidden bank papers, showing that Jack had secretly sold part of Mary's family land that was under her name. Jack had stolen from her. Now, it was time for justice. But Mary wasn't going to the police, not yet. She had a better idea, a public idea, one that would bring every light onto their darkness. And on the night of the town's biggest festival, she walked up to the stage with a microphone in her hand, smiling, because it was time for everyone to hear the truth. The town's festival was bright with lights, music, and laughter. Children ran with cotton candy, couples danced in the street. But something was about to change. Mary stood behind the stage curtain, holding the microphone tight in her hand. Her red book was tucked under her arm. Eliza gave her a small nod from the crowd. "Are you sure?" Eliza whispered. Mary's eyes didn't blink. "It's time." The mayor was just finishing his speech when Mary walked on stage. The spotlight hit her like a sunrise. People clapped, not knowing what was coming. Mary took a deep breath. "Hello, everyone," she said, voice clear and calm. "My name is Mary. Some of you know me as the Cookie Lady. Some of you know me as Jack's wife. And some of you will never forget what I'm about to say." The crowd fell silent. Jack stood near the back, holding a drink. Lucy had just arrived, her hood pulled over her head. Mary opened her red book and began to read. 2 years ago, my husband Jack began an affair with my sister Lucy. Every Tuesday, room 207, lies wrapped in smiles. I said nothing. I watched. I waited. Gasps spread like fire through the crowd. People turned. Phones came out. But that wasn't the worst part, Mary continued. Jack also stole from me. He sold land that my late father left me, without my permission, without my knowledge. She held up the bank papers and pointed at Jack. "Here's the proof. You didn't just betray my heart, you betrayed my name." Jack dropped his cup. Mary stepped forward. "I am not asking for pity. I am not asking for revenge. I am here because secrets die in silence. And I refuse to stay silent anymore." The crowd erupted. Some people clapped. Others shouted. Lucy ran. Jack froze, as if his feet were made of stone. Mary stepped down from the stage, heart pounding but light. Eliza met her with open arms. "You did it," she said. But Mary shook her head. "No," she whispered, "not yet. There's still one last move." Because deep in Jack. That night after the festival, Mary sat on her porch under the stars, holding the red book and a small metal key she had found inside Jack's safe. Her fingers brushed across a name she had written on the last page, Rebecca Hayes. It wasn't a name she knew, not a friend, not family, but the letter beside it chilled her. Transfer complete. "Thank you, Rebecca. She suspects nothing." J. Mary stared at the paper. Who was Rebecca? What had Jack given her? And why had he written, "She suspects nothing"? She called Eliza immediately. "We need to find her," Mary said. Now. 2 days later, Eliza knocked on Mary's door, holding a photograph. "Found her," she whispered. "Rebecca Hayes. Accountant. Works at a private law firm downtown. But look at this." Eliza handed Mary an old photo. It was faded, but clear enough. It was from years ago. A birthday party. And in the background, standing beside Jack, was Rebecca, smiling sweetly, with her arm around Lucy. Mary's heart sank. She felt the world tip sideways. This wasn't just an affair. It was a plan. Rebecca wasn't just some stranger. She had been part of their circle all along, hidden, quiet, dangerous. Eliza leaned closer. Mary. I think they've been planning this for years. Not just the affair, the land, the money, everything. Mary's breath caught in her throat. You mean, this was never just betrayal, this was theft? She stood up, fists clenched. I have to face her, she said. Rebecca, I need to know why. Eliza nodded. Then we go tomorrow. Mary walked to her mirror and stared at herself, not the broken woman from months ago, but someone new, someone sharpened by pain, rebuilt with fire. Because if Rebecca thought Mary was done, she was about to learn, the real storm hadn't even begun. The next morning, the sky was gray. Clouds moved like slow, heavy thoughts. Mary wore a simple black coat, her red book tucked under her arm, and a fire in her eyes that even the rain couldn't touch. Eliza drove her downtown, and they stopped in front of a tall glass building with golden letters, Hayes & Co., private law firm. Mary stepped out of the car, her heels clicking like a countdown. Every step brought her closer to the truth. She entered the lobby, calm but alert. I'm here to see Rebecca Hayes, she told the receptionist. The woman raised an eyebrow. Do you have an appointment? Mary smiled gently. No, but she'll want to see me. 10 minutes later, Rebecca walked out of her office. She looked polished, powerful. Her black dress hugged her body like armor, and her red lips curled into a surprised smile. But her eyes widened the moment she saw Mary. Mary, she said, her voice like sugar hiding poison. Mary nodded. We need to talk. Alone. Rebecca led her into a sleek glass room. They sat across from each other, silence hanging like a blade between them. Then Mary opened the red book and placed the letter on the table. You and Jack, she began, voice steady. The fake land deal. The secret bank transfers. The message, she suspects nothing. That was about me, wasn't it? Rebecca leaned back, folding her arms. You're smarter than I thought. Mary's jaw tightened. So it's true, she whispered. You were all working together. You, Jack. Lucy. Rebecca chuckled, cold and soft. It started as a game. Jack wanted out of the marriage. Lucy wanted him. I wanted the land. Mary's heart ached, but her face didn't flinch. You destroyed everything, she said. No, Mary, Rebecca said, standing slowly. We took everything, and you didn't even see it coming. But Mary stood too, slowly lifting her red book. Wrong. I did see it. And now the whole world will too. She opened the book, and slid a flash drive across the table. Mary stared at her phone, Jack's message still glowing. We need to talk. It's urgent. It's about Lucy. She's missing. For a moment, everything paused, the air, her breath, even her thoughts. Lucy, missing? She didn't want to care. After all the betrayal, the lies, the pain. Lucy deserved the silence she ran into, but she was still her sister. Mary called Jack. What do you mean she's missing? She asked sharply. I got a note this morning, Jack said, panicked. It was in her handwriting. She said she was sorry, that she messed up everything, and that she was going somewhere no one could find her. Mary's heart dropped, not for Jack, not even for the betrayal, but for the girl she once shared bedtime stories with, the one who used to crawl into her bed during thunderstorms, the Lucy before the lies. Eliza met Mary at the old park, the one they all used to go to as kids. There, under the bench, just like in one of their childhood games, Mary found a letter addressed to her. Mary, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't carry it anymore. I was never supposed to fall in love with him. I was weak. But Rebecca, she used me. She used us both. I thought I was winning. I was losing myself. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I stopped being your sister. If there's still a part of you that remembers who I was before all this, please, forgive me. But don't try to find me. I don't know who I am anymore. Tears fell silently as Mary folded the note. She didn't know where Lucy was, but she hoped, deeply, fiercely, that one day, she'd find herself again. Weeks passed. Jack lost everything, his job, his status, even his apartment. The public shame was too much. He left town quietly, with no goodbye. Rebecca was arrested after Mary's files exposed her dirty dealings. Her law firm crumbled like dust. And Mary? Mary rebuilt. She expanded her cookie shop, wrote a book called The Fire She Walked Through, and it became a bestseller. Not because it was a. To everyone who took the time to read this story, thank you from the depths of my heart. Your eyes, your time, and your emotions gave life to every word. You didn't just read, you felt, imagined, and journeyed with Mary through pain, fire, and healing. That means more than words can say. This story was not just mine, it became ours. And for every comment, every share, every moment you spent between these lines, I am truly grateful. Keep reading, keep feeling, keep rising. With all my heart, thank you.